Very warm welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. And to you, Vanessa, for joining us. Thank you so, so much. We've done a few events with Vanessa, who is the founder of Feel, Move, Be, and the Body Whisperer, that's what we call her in our community. And I think she's known as that beyond as well, which is always an interesting point of conversation. But I love your approach to health and fitness. And I think it's going to be really interesting for everyone to hear your insights today. We are talking specifically today about how to heal your tummy, and that relates particularly to diastasis, which is something that you have specialized in. Yeah. But before we head into that, I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the work that you do in general, the kinds of clients that you work with, and how you might be able to help the people that have joined us today.
Thank you. And I'm a body whisperer, so body whisperer and personal trainer. The body whisperer part of my job is to help women in particular to understand their body. And I translate the messages from the body to my clients. And I help discovering the real problem and how to solve it, mainly. That's the main part of my job. And the personal training part of it is to help and go through whatever it's holding you back from any things you want to do, through movements, through breath work, through self-expression, really physical ability you have to apply for it, and not to stay stuck in the brain, but to really go through the whole body. That's what I love, and that's what I found personally and all through my clients, that you can't just put a formula on one type of problem, even diastasis. You have to go through we're all through three-dimension beings, so we can't just stick on one side of our lives. So we need to go through everything to really solve the problems and make it really long-lasting results.
Amazing. And you come from, quite a traditional fitness background. Can you tell us about your personal journey and how you landed up working in this space, and how you found this approach to fitness and thinking about our bodies in such a holistic way?
Mm. Well, I come from more, I was a dancer before. I find myself more expressed and more free when I was dancing. Unfortunately, I had some kind of really difficult injuries. Knowing a bit more about training and fitness helped to recover. But when I started my fitness studies, I got a hernia in my back that kind of shut a lot of things down. But in the same way, I understood that I'm not an athlete. I'm definitely not of that, and not this kind of performance and staying that competition style of it. I love movements, and I love feeling this connection with my body when I dance, when I run, everything. And I found that through all the injuries I had, and even burnout, that taking care of my body it's at such level that it's opening doors of opportunity to get through things you never know you would be able to do it if you don't challenge yourself through the physical action of it. And I found out that the fitness, how I'd be taught fitness and how I've started fitness in general, was just too tough. This just one mindset of no pain, no gain, and go hard or go home. I was just, yeah, but no, it doesn't work. It's just, I got so many injuries just because of this one thing, that you have to go through pain, when in fact you don't have to. You don't have to fight to get things through, or to get the shape you want, your belly you want, or whatever. What it needs is to understand what is really going on into your body, what is going on into your life, and linked everything together. And that's why I have also the gift to understand through my hands, through observations, through the language that my clients use. I will understand what the body really needs, and I understand the story behind the injuries or behind the chronic pain also mainly. And I found out that once you start just to change little things in your life, when you start to give the opportunity to your body to give back this voice of your body, you get stronger faster, you get fitter faster, you get everything faster because you integrate really properly into your physical existence. And that gives you much more power than competition or than any kind of going through a really hard class like body attack or something and get sweaty. But you don't need to go through that to get strong as you need or to be empowered. You can create this empowerment from your center and from your physical existence just right now. And that's why it's my journey taught me that. My clients, their experience taught me that you don't need that much showing off or that much kind of sweat to get what you want. That's what I learned.
And it's really interesting for me, and I think for many of those that are in the room today, is, you know, you talk about pain and how we don't have to go through pain to achieve that balance and that freedom of movement. But I'm guessing a lot of people come to you because they're in pain in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I suppose it's the sort of cycle that in order to relieve your pain, you do need to move in some way.
Yeah.
And I think in one of the past sessions we did with you, and I wondered if you could touch on this again, is about those, you know, pain centers and identifying in your body what they mean. Because it might not just necessarily mean it's an injury. It could be relating to something much bigger than that.
Yeah. But pain is a funny thing, because we've learned that pain is bad. Pain is mean that you're weak or you have a weakness. When pain is in fact a message from mind or from the body, but it's more really a message of there is something you need to heal, whatever the layer of body or mind, but there is something you need to heal. And that's why most of my clients have pains or chronic pains, because they keep fighting the pain or they keep shutting down the pain. So until you shut down the pain or you ignore it, you can't listen the message of it. And that's why you can't heal it usually. Yeah. So I noticed that in your body you have receptors of pain. Like if you consider the whole back, if you consider even your body a bit like your house, your whole back is the attic. And what do you put in your attic? You put memories, good and bad. You put experiences. You put everything you don't want to hear, everything you want to put under the carpet, and it comes out into your back. But your back is your support. It supports literally everything in your life, in everything you want to go through. And to understand that what needs to be healed, you need to dig a bit into the pain itself, to really embrace the pain, to have some step back and say, okay, I am in pain, I want to heal. What is the problem? And starting this conversation. And it can take time or not. It depends really how much intense, but you can at least reduce the intensity by just doing these first steps of, okay, I have a pain, I'm listening. And then there is specific techniques, physiotherapy or movements or breath work, that is a big step to do it, to just starting to be freer and freer and freer. And then it's to practice, because we have to remember that we practice automatically to be in pain and to stay in pain. But we can do the same thing. We can do the exact automatically and practice not being in pain, listening the pain, healing the pain, and then, okay, bye-bye. I can go wherever I want. And there is everything in your, I noticed that, for example, the problems for the chest is what you receive from others. So if you're in a situation that, for example, you don't feel a good vibe with the person talking to you, or is in at the meeting or something, or you feel you kind of receive emotions too much from others, you will receive mainly here. It will have an echo in the back or in the shoulders, or we feel kind of gripped on the front. But it's something that we need to be more to protect on this side of it, because it's directly to the heart, for example, and directly to your breath. So you can feel it quite quickly that if you have a bad vibe with a situation or with a danger or something, you will feel it here, and it will kind of go up into the throat. And that it's some little signals that the body tells you to just be aware of. If it's danger, you have to run usually, but if it's just a stressful situation that you can receive stress from others, and just be sure that it's not mine, because otherwise even the stress of others gets stuck into yourself. And it's just annoying, because you don't need more stress than what you have. So it's kind of little things like this that you can manage if you know a bit more about how you receive emotions, how you give emotions, and what you have on your shoulders or into your back. It's to be aware of that. And more you're aware of that, more you can see first if it's yours or not. And then, okay, I will, if it's something more kind of past experience to digest, there is different now methods to help to heal with it. Personally, I heal more from something more physical, but I mean, psychotherapy or even different kind of therapy will help to heal for that. But it's just to know where is really the problem and what is related to. And that's how I work usually. And some people are open to that, but some are not. And I can understand that, because we are living in a society where the body is mainly shown as sexual desire. So you have to be sexy to be happy, you have to be thin, you have to be blah, 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 and you have to be able to wear this kind of clothes. We're still in this kind of society, even if it's starting to move a bit. But even if you are comfortable in your body, in your curves, you have to show you can be sexy, when it's not, your body is not just made to be sexy. Sexy means you are sexually attractive. So it's just reducing to one side of your body, reproductivity. And when in fact, the body is there you can do everything with your body. If you don't have a body, you're not living. That's as simple. So it's really to open more doors of your body is there. What can you do with it? What do you want to do with it? How you want to express yourself? And keep going on to that. Keep opening doors. Stop shutting down everything.
Well, and it's such a big part of attractiveness. And I don't mean only sexual attraction, just, being attractive to other people, bringing other people to you is about how confident you feel in your body and in your own skin. So it very much starts with us, and reaching that level of acceptance and comfort within our own bodies and our own skins. And I think that has a massive, and we underestimate the impact that has on how others perceive us when we feel that way.
Yeah.
But it is important for us to do that work ourselves and find that peace with how we look and get comfortable with how we feel in our own bodies.
Yeah, because it's not a mistake or a coincidence if we have the body we have. I mean, I know that we think that it's kind of a lottery who is physically beauty or whatever, but the physique we have is just another part of ourselves, and whatever are the standards, we are all beautiful. It is not something that it shouldn't be a question or a point of view. It's just a fact. We are there. We are all beautiful. We have different kind of beauties, and more we accept it, more we can shine of it. That's more you can just enjoy it and just glow from it. But you're right, it's always starting from us, not from others.
Well, before we go on to the main point, I just wanted to say on that level, I was having a conversation with my mother yesterday about this exact thing. And it's so interesting, you know, how our perception of beauty or attractiveness is related to trends and fashion. You know, when I was growing up in the early 80s and you know, when I was a teenager, the likes of Kate Moss and all of these kind of waif-like women were, and it was the era of the supermodel. They were all super slim. They had no curves. You could see their hip bones. They had no bottoms. You know, it was that flat, small bum. And now, if you look at what is considered to be attractive or what's fashionable, it's curves, big, you know, voluminous bottoms, large busts, all of those things. And we were having this conversation about this yesterday, just saying, isn't it amazing how, you know, fashion and trends dictate what we see as attractive. But it was so ingrained in me growing up that that's what you were supposed to look like. If you were attractive or sexy, you look like one of those kind of skinny models, you know, whereas now that's not what's considered attractive anymore.
Completely true. It's much more open to different kind of vibes and of obviously curves, and it's at least you have the choice to which model is more relating to yourself, and you have different kind of representation. Probably not again enough. It's still they still need some works, because you still have the echo of the supermodels going there, but it's starting, at least with, this is the good thing with social media, it kind of open the doors of different models to see, and it's really nice to see different so many different body being
to normalize different body shapes, because I think until we had, you know, the social media platforms that we had, you didn't really ever see that. You only saw women in magazines. So that is quite refreshing. But now let's talk about diastasis. So firstly, what is it?
So the diastasis is the separation of your abdominals. So it means that you have like a gap into your abdominals, and literally your tummy is can't contract. So if you're, for example, you have a pregnancy and then you come back to any kind of fitness training, and you're doing crunches or stuff like this, your muscles are just going a bit like a V like this, and but you can't really bring them together, and you can't have a flat belly. That's what this is what they call the mummy tummy, or the muffin top on the tummy. Usually, I can hear that a lot.
But all the way down.
Yeah, it's from the sternum, so really from the top here, and it goes all the way down here. Because the thing is, in your core, you have these 3 layers of abdominals. You have the one that's usually we work the most is the recti muscle. So it's from the long one, the one that's shown the six-pack. And then you have under that, you have the obliques. So that goes like across just under. And under that, the deepest abdominal, you have the transverse muscle. The transverse muscle is the one mostly ignored by the fitness trends, or misused usually. And this one is the biggest one. It comes from the back. Is attached on the 6 vertebrae in the back here, and it goes all around on the ribs and on the hips, and it closes on the front here. And this is the one that do the flat tummy, because it keep the organs in. Okay, and the tricky thing is attached to the most superficial muscle, the recti muscle, is attached at the back of it on the top, and is hugging it at the bottom, so it can work separately. And it is kind of a funny thing, the diastasis, because you can see it, how we say, because it does a big gap into the recti. So you have like this kind of muscles or tummy shape, I would say. And the transverse, again, has even a bigger gap under that. So that's why it's something that it's not talked about enough. I found out, especially because I got one. And the other funny thing is everyone has it or have it when they were born. If you look at a baby, it doesn't get strong on the core first. It gets strong, you're gonna walk and kind of grab things, get with the fingers and the hands and the toes, but you can see the tummy button is out and the belly is completely out. Well, I can say that because my baby is still a baby. So I can see the evolution of it. But everyone has a diastasis when they were born, and normally it heals. Some person doesn't heal. If you had at a young age an hernia, an umbilical hernia, your diastasis hasn't healed. That's one of the signs of it. And some people just doesn't know at all about it. It's mainly said or mainly checked, and even not much as we want, after pregnancy, because obviously your baby is growing into your tummy, you're pushing your abs forwards, you're moving your organs forwards, and depending how it's handled or how many pregnancies you have, your muscles are going to split. So more you have pregnancies, more usually the muscles are going to split. And it should be checked after the pregnancy. It should be checked at the 6 weeks or 8 weeks checked, but it's not enough. Personally, on my I had 2 pregnancies, the first one in 2016, and I was not checked by neither the GP or the midwife. It's by an osteopath who told me I had 2 fingers separation by my into my 2 muscles, and also because I had a hernia. another sign. It kind of healed approximately on the first one. On my second baby, so I gave birth in 2021, my tummy was not healing. Even after 6 or 8 weeks, my tummy was still I was still looking like 6 months pregnant. It was really painful on my back. And the GP I knew I had a diastasis already because I know about it, but the GP I had didn't know anything about it. He didn't properly check me onto that. Even so, I had pains in my stomach and obviously in my back. It didn't, because he was not trained on that. So this is the tricky thing. And I just kind of forced and talked to different GPs to get a diagnosis, but yeah, it didn't get well with their system because they don't have a proper system to heal diastasis. You have to be lucky with a kind of a proper support from it. To be honest, you have the woman physiotherapist. It's a kind of collective that do take care of you, but there are not many into the UK. There are really a small number. So if you are over 3 months postpartum, for example, they can't take you on board. And they literally will say to you, well, you are 3 months over postpartum, so we can't help you. When in fact, they are just too busy. They have too many people to take care of, so they can't take everyone on board. But the main things to understand is, if you don't ask, you won't know. If you don't do research, you won't know that you have a diastasis. Okay, that's why I wanted to share that also with you today, because I've talked to many women the past few months, hearing exactly the same story. They had pain in the back, or even they had different trouble. and they couldn't bring that tummy back flat, and nobody was there on the medical side of it. Nobody was there or able to help them to understand what was happening. Okay, and I found that really sad, because, and to be honest, I think it's my feminist part of it, but if it was men who were giving birth, I'm sure they will be all over it and finding a quicker solution. I'm sorry for, I think it's also because it's for women. It's always kind of put aside. The only kind of way they will propose is a surgery. It's the tummy tuck. That is stitching the connective tissue. If you're lucky, sometimes they stitch the muscles, and that it's kind of no. Because if you stitch the muscles, you can't contract them. So it doesn't really help. If you don't, a muscle is there to be contracted and to be stretched or relaxed, but they are not there to be stitches together. Otherwise, they lose their opportunity to be. That's as simple. But
so,
yeah.
No, I was just going to say, so are there any ways that we can work out whether or not we have this ourselves, and then we can obviously follow up with a medical professional or come to somebody like you for help? Like, yeah. Are there telltale signs that we can sort of identify ourselves and know whether or not this is something we're struggling with?
There is little signs that can help you out. It's that you might have you can see or feel that you have a hernia umbilical. It's kind of a proper sign of it, because it's still something going out of yourself. If you feel any constipation, any kind of bloating after eating, any kind of refluxes, it means that your organs are not aligned. Because what is the diastasis is, if you have a gap between your muscles, your organs are going forwards. So you can, especially after pregnancy, you can really feel literally that your organs are going out of yourselves. If they are going out of yourselves, they are not aligned, where they are misplaced. So you're going to feel some kind of irritating things, like constipation, like difficulty to digest, difficulty to go to the loo. Is these little things that makes your life you don't need, really. One of the worst things personally for me was to have pain in my back. I literally, after the birth, I was collapsing. I couldn't sit for long. I had to lie down every time, because my back was just obviously was tired after 9 months of pregnancy, and he had to do the whole job, because the core was not working at all. So you can't support yourself, you can't support your body if your core doesn't work. So the back will take over on it, and it's not enough. So I was literally have to lie down in the middle of the day, because I was so much in pain. And I mean, nothing that painkillers are kind of helpful, but obviously it doesn't solve the problem. So it's one of the main sign of understanding that, okay, if you have a stronger pain, or you can't even feel your tummy going in, it's one of the signs. After that, you have the look of your tummy. For example, if you have outy belly button, it's a sign. And it means that if you see, for example, a sportive woman or man, it's in fact having outy bellies, you see with the six-pack, they have a diastasis. Yeah.
So men can have it too?
Yes.
And how would they have developed that? Would it have been something that didn't heal from birth?
Yes. It can be also posture problem, being standing. It's also doing too much crunches, sit-ups, things like this. That's kind of a no. And yeah, there is a lot of in fitness trends are really bad for the organs. I mean, I've stopped quickly crunches or sit-ups, for example, because I had problems with my back. And also because at this moment I didn't know, but I had a diastasis because I had hernia from a birth. So it was something nobody told me. I just learned for myself and from my own experience that, okay, I should stop completely having crunches and sit-ups, even during my fitness studies, because that was not sustainable for me. But in fact, when you look at some models on magazines and stuff, men or women, and they have their six-pack, they usually have maybe 4 because the bottom it's kind of flat, but they can't provide the rest of the recti muscle because the transverse is opened.
Oh,
so it's different kind of diastasis, but it is a diastasis. Joseph Pilates, the creator of Pilates method, had a diastasis. You can see on the photos how it was, because he was healthy and he was obviously strong and stuff, but you can see how the gap really was on him, because he was so not skinny, stripped. It was really, you can see the muscles on him, but you can see the gap in the middle on the diastasis, because even with Pilates, the transverse muscles is engaged in some part. But when you do a crunch, so just a curl up on bringing the head up and the shoulders up, the transverse is not engaged. It's the recti muscle, because the recti muscle, its functions to protect the organs, but to do a flexion of the spine. When the transverse is to support the spine, to keep the organs in and to support the spine. So that's why it's really more you know, it's more you know about how your body works and how you really need to, how you can train it properly. More you're precise on your movements, and much more strength you can create onto that with really less struggle and less hustle of it.
So what can we do about it then if we have it?
Well, if we have it, it's important to know, to start to know how big it is at the beginning. And you have the medical practitioner, if they know about it, what they will ask you to do, it's they will put fingers into your belly button, for example, and they will ask you to lift your head up to contract the recti muscle. And like this, they will see if you how many fingers there is in between. So that's a way, but it gives you the measurement of the diastasis on the smallest range. Okay. Now, we do recommend for us, for example, to take at the largest to be more accurate. And so it means that instead of lifting your head up, you stay lying down on the back, your legs bent and feet flat on the floor. The same, you put your fingers, probably both hands, into the middle with your abs relaxed completely, tummy completely relaxed. And you just contract the transverse muscles. So to contract the transverse muscles, you bring the tummy button to the spine, and you will feel the edge of the muscles going around your fingers. And like this, you just feel the edge of the muscles, and then you relax again and you see how many fingers you can fit in. And that will give you a most accurate, it's not an exact science, but a most accurate distance between your muscles. Because knowing the muscles, knowing the distance between your muscles will determine how you can heal it. If you're relaxed and you have just 2 fingers, for example, of distance, or even 3, you can just do some specific exercises for the transverse muscles. But if you have over 4 fingers of distance, you can't just do exercises, because when you have 4 fingers in between here, your muscles, they will just go slide. They will slide just side to side. when in fact the transverse, what he wants to do is, or what he should do, is going together and then going backwards to your spine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The transverse is like the most huggy muscle in your body. Okay. The only thing he wants to do is hug you as much as possible. He hugs everything and he protects everything. So he can't hug you if he just do a pat on the shoulder. That's not a hug. The hug is really, I want to keep you in and I make you stronger like this. Okay. I want also to be able to relax as much as I want or as much as I need, but I want to be able to contract in. And for that, when you have more than 4 fingers, you need to help the muscles to come back together, to be closer together. Otherwise, you're not efficient on the exercise. And that's why I train with this technique, the Tapler technique, because they have this view on the diastasis, that the diastasis is an injury. It's not something you should live with. Like I heard a lot of doctors say. It is ridiculous. It's something, it's an injury. So if you have an injury, if you fracture your leg, I mean, I'm sorry, you will have a cast to bring the bones together. It's something similar for the diastasis. You need to help the muscles to be closer together. And that's why we use belts that we wear as much as possible, preferably day and night, but as much as possible is more accurate. And keep the muscles together, having the belts when you do the exercises and when you change deeply any kind of movement you have or posture you have during the day. And that's, for me, that's why I choose this technique to be trained with, because this is the only one really that consider the diastasis. Okay, it's not just like a back pain, or it's not like a problem of constipation. It's something that linked everything together. If I have trouble to go to the loo, or if I have a back pain, it is linked together. And it's not just by doing one little thing, it's by bringing everything together. It's because inside the core, it's completely going everywhere. Okay. And the tricky thing is you can be strong on the obliques and the recti muscle. So it might hide any kind of problem with the transverse. You will feel the weakness in the transverse when you're sitting long hours, for example, or when you have to work on computer, because this is the one that will help you to get through it, not the recti or not the obliques. It's the transverse muscle.
Oh, wow. Gosh, Vanessa, this has been so interesting and illuminating in terms of, I mean, I'm starting to think, do I have this? Like, have myself checked. But I mean, that brings the question of, obviously, I mean, I had babies 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. If I do have this, what can I do about it now? Can it still be fixed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's muscle and tissue and connective tissue. That's the good thing. You can have, I mean, it can be a year ago, 20 years ago, it doesn't matter, you can heal it.
Wow. And someone's just asked, should we address this before having a second baby?
Well, it depends how long time do you want between your babies. But even when you're pregnant, you can do something about it. You can already do the exercises. You can have the belts on it. That's not a trouble. It is still better to do it before, because you will have less and you will know better for the next pregnancy how to manage your belly and how also to give birth in a different way. Because, for example, pushing the baby out as strong as they ask you to do in a normal way on the medical beds, they have never been sustainable for the woman, for the body, and it's not the easiest way. It's kind of a hard way. But learning how to breathe differently, learning about the pelvic floor, how to manage it like a bit more like a flower than something kind of you have to go through it, it will help enormously the birth itself. the arrival of the baby and how your tummy come back together. But I will also add for another birth that I do recommend strongly to close the hips directly after the birth, because it's something that we don't know about also. It's more it depends on the size of the belly, of course, but even so, you have 9 months nearly, or few months of relaxing, of the hormone relaxing into your body to prepare the birth. And the relaxing doesn't stop just because you gave birth. It stays in your blood, it stays there. So your hips are wider obviously from the pregnancy and the birth because of the pushing. It needs normally directly after the baby is out to have like a big scarf and close the hips as much as possible, as close of the birth as possible. It helps the hips closing faster because you can use the relaxing to close it again, and it helps the belly to come back together quickly.
So this can be done with the belt. So I mean, the belt can address both the hips and the separation of the muscles in the stomach. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing because relaxin is in your system, as you were quite rightly saying, even if you don't have a natural birth, can that still affect your muscles and your hip separation?
Yeah. I had 2 C-sections, and in both cases, my hips were more open because they didn't let me having a scarf to close it, unfortunately. But as soon as I could, I put a scarf around my hips on the second birth more than the first birth, because I didn't know about that before. But on the second birth, I just have my long scarf and close my hips as much as I could.
You bind it tightly, or
just that.
And is that something that people have done, or women have done through the ages, or I've never heard
this
that.
Is the tricky. Yeah, it's because the Western medical practitioner are sticking on some kind of science, but they don't listen the other fashions. I mean, from the time I've been living in London, I have so many conversations with women from different cultures, and they have different kind of source like this. Having, in my country we do that and we do this, and how much we take time to let the body recover. That here we don't have in the Western world of progress. Well, we should come back to some old-fashioned way to do, because here we are still stick on having a bed, lying on the bed when you give birth with your legs like this, when it doesn't make sense. You don't give birth like this normally, except for some if you have some trouble with the pregnancy or some specific reason. But it's mainly for doctors or nurses to see you. It's not for your own comfort. You give birth standing or squatting. That's the best way to give birth.
Wow. Vanessa, we've had a question here.
Yeah.
Plastic surgeons have suggested that only surgery will remedy this. Can we completely close the gap ourselves, or will there always be a slight gap, for example, from 4 fingers to 1 finger?
The 1 finger is or less. It depends on how much you can do it and from which distance you can do. But yes, you can heal it naturally. It's the 1 finger is what you want to achieve. The surgeon, if they don't tell you to do some specific exercises and the right exercises, you can have stitches. If your muscle is not strong, the stitches won't stay.
Okay, so we have another question. That was really helpful. Thank you. There are lots of fitness people giving instructions on exercises. What are the top things that we must not do if we have diastasis recti?
So curl ups, sit-ups, that's the worst, gosh. The plank also, any kind of position you are on your hands and knees or hands and feet, push-ups.
Wow.
You have to, running. It's really jarring on the on the connective tissue, any jumping. There is a lot of things, even some Pilates exercise like the roll back. In yoga, the backwards bends, any extension make it worse. So we need to understand that once the connective tissue between the muscles is stretched out, it gets worse if you engage more on extension like this, extension of your spine. So even yoga and Pilates or a trouble for it. It's really relearning how to bring the transverse first together. And then once you have healed as much as you can the diastasis, you can do this kind of exercises like yoga, like boxing, like running with a different approach. Because in any case, if you were, it's like a bit like weight loss. If you were doing a diet really restrictive, you lost some weight, but then you stop and then you come back to your normal food without any kind of plan, well, you put the weight back on. Usually that's what happens. But when you have an injury, it's the same protocols. You want to heal, but you don't want to heal to come back to what was before. You want to heal to get better and do better in your movements. And definitely stopping crunches and sit-ups. That's not the best way to engage with your abs. In any case, you will be able to go back to planks or to push-ups though.
Brilliant, really helpful. I mean, overwhelming, because it seems like so many of the things that we probably all do as part of our movement are things that could be detrimental for us. Yeah. But I guess also another incentive to really find out more if this is, what we think we may be suffering on, or that we know that we are.
One other thing, when I think about it, one other thing that makes it worse is any kind of crisscross. When you bring elbow to the knee or things like this, when you want to do the obliques, any kind of Russian twist, when you do things like this, it's making it worse. Because it makes, if you see your diastasis a bit like this, when you do a twist movement, it goes wider. Okay, so that's what's happening. So yeah, there is a lot of things that you're probably making it worse if you have one, by doing just fitness, by not being checked before if you have one, and by come back to fitness, normal fitness. Okay?
Someone else has mentioned that vacuuming can help as well, right? Stomach vacuuming, or is that a practice that you use?
Vacuuming, like bringing the belly button to the spine. Is that
stomach vacuuming? I don't know, Zia, is that what you meant? She
yes.
says yes.
Yes. And making sure that you bring everything, not just the belly button. You bring the top and you bring the bottom of the muscles. So really feeling like a zip. It's a bit like feeling like if you were putting a corset, you want to zip from the pubic bone to the sternum, and you want everyone together.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that. Well, I think we actually are at time, but if anyone has a last minute questions you want to pop in, feel free to do so. And then I will connect everyone with Vanessa via a follow-up email, and you'll get a link to this recording as well, for anyone that came in a little later and might have missed the beginning bit. But yeah, feel free. And Vanessa, if I copy you in on the email, is that the best way for people to get hold of you?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And obviously, and then you can go into a little bit more detail about this. Because actually we didn't touch on this. Can you tell us a bit about the training that you've done and the license that you now have in the UK around working with diastasis?
So I'm trained in the Toppler technique. It's a technique that just have 4 steps. It's having the belts, and so wearing the belts to reposition the muscles and the connective tissue together, strengthening the transverse muscle, so relearning how to use it and where it is, and changing the way you move. how to get up from your bed, how to stand up, how to get down everywhere, how to move properly in a different position to protect your results and to protect your tummy in a new way. And that's why it's so natural. It's challenging in the way that you have to relearn things that you think you knew. And I went through it, so that's why I'm saying that. But it's so transformative that your results, more you're aware of what you're doing, more your results are quicker. I mean, I got clients who got, like, for example, just the tummy button in a week. They got their waist back in just 3 weeks. I mean, it's really, you have to maintain and you have to keep doing the exercises. But once you get it, you don't want to stop it. You want just to hold on it. Just a precision, if there is any question on the belts, the belts are there, as I said, to reposition the muscles, to support a bit the core and to replace the organs in. Okay, so it's different from any binders or any other belts you might find on the market after or postpartum belts. They are there to just keep in, but they are not making the muscles back together. So that's the main difference between the things. But in any case, if you have any doubts about your tummy, I offer a free belly check. It's around 30 minutes, and we can go through your history and how you can help it, how you can heal it. It's all disposed for the women chapter members.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, and I'll include that in the follow-up email as well. Thank you very much. It's been, wow. I think, as Selena said in the chat, mind-blowing.
Okay. Good.
It's possible that I do, and everyone I know, all of my friends are all suffering from this, because I think just listening to you talk about the various symptoms and the way that, you know, you sort of feel and the back pain and all those things, that it's quite possible that there are many, many women and men that are walking around with this that have it and don't know that they do.
Exactly.
So, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us today. So much
Thank
knowledge.
you for this opportunity. I'm really pleased I can talk about it, and I'm really pleased that it shake a bit some minds and some bodies. So
yeah, well, we really need to raise awareness for this, because I think it can change the lives of so many people. But thank you so much, Vanessa, and thank you everyone for joining us today, and see you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.